Joan Kosmachuk, your seasonal color, style, and confidence coach. And today we have another video in the series Conversations in Color and Style with Joan. And I have a special guest today. This is Jodi Clark, who's with me. She is a beautiful iridescent summer, one of my color clients. And we thought it would be really fun to have a conversation at this point because Jodi, you had your colors done quite a while ago. Is that right?
Yes, we are just talking about that. We think maybe 2 to 3 years, maybe
I
almost three
think
years
so.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's been absolutely, I know this gets said a lot, but life-changing, seriously life-changing. And, as I'm an interior designer and I could design other people's things just fine, but dressing myself was always a challenge. And just the other day, I was thinking, if I was working on a project for a client, I wouldn't just wander into a store and pick whatever appealed to me. I mean, you go in with a palette. And so working with a palette that's related to me has just been, you know, I don't know why I didn't think of this sooner. But yeah, it just completely makes such a difference for shopping and feeling like myself. So thank you very much. It's been such a gift for me. And I
Yeah.
was looking at some old literature that I had on seasons when I looked at this, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or something like that. And I looked at what was type as a summer palette. And I think there's only two colors of mine are on that whole like cookie cutter palette for me. So it was really, I'm just, yeah, so thankful to have my personal colors because I wouldn't be really happy with that other palette. So,
Right. Yeah, I think that so many palettes are pre-made and then they're looking to kind of fit you into the closest to that palette that there
right.
can be. Um,
And I wasn't even
all so
typed as summer
different.
anyway. So,
Right.
so it just happened to be like at the back of what I had, and I thought, just out of curiosity, let's just see if there's any of my colors. So yeah, no, having it personally done makes such a difference. So
And you have been really highly committed to sourcing out your colors. You've done some really creative things around that. You want to share that with us?
yeah, so when I had my colors done, the first thing I realized was half of my closet was black, and that's not my color. I don't have any inherent black. Maybe my eyelashes on a good day, but that's about it. So I immediately pulled all the black out of my closet and then went shopping and realized I'm not going to easily find these readily available. Um, and so I did have a lot of whites, and so I started dyeing, playing with dye and dyeing my own colors, and that was kind of hit and miss on a lot of it. But even if it was just t-shirts and things, I just found it made such a difference. um, I think I mentioned once we went away on a trip and I didn't know what to pack, so I just did the usual. I packed my black and my whites, and I wore like one shirt in my color, and the whole 3-day weekend I just kept re-wearing that one shirt because I couldn't look at myself in black anymore. It just made me feel so drained and sallow looking skin, and I couldn't do it even though I wasn't going anywhere. I couldn't look at myself not in my colors anymore. So that's when I really came home and thought, okay, I can get rid of the black. I can get rid of the black now. But yeah, dyeing the clothes has just been a lot of fun. It really opened up, you know, um, what I buy. I buy a lot more white things now,
Mm.
so that I can so that I can dye them. And I have found, as it's been a couple of years, things kind of come and go, and every once in a while, one of my colors will appear to be like popular, and it's kind of like it's all I can do not to like just go buy a bunch of it. but
Right.
but that's where I was just saying too, it's been a couple of years, and I think in the beginning I just went out and anything in my color, I just grabbed it. And being an iridescent summer, my fabrics are very important, and I don't necessarily get to dress up to where I can wear silks and satins and suedes and those type of fabrics a lot. But um, texture is really important. And I'm starting to see now where I would buy something that happened to be in my color, but it was like a waffle weave fabric that was really popular, or it's been really popular lately. And um, I could find my colors in that. And so I bought that. But now I'm starting to realize that that is a little overpowering for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just it's too almost too complex, and so I've kind of reached another level with this where um I'm recovering from an injury, so I've been spending a lot of time in my room, and so I started like digging in my closet again and pulling some more things out that are just not quite right for me. And it's like a little light bulb went off, like, oh, okay, now I get it. I get. And the same thing like with my jewelry, I like to make my own. I've always liked to make my own necklaces and things to be a little bit more. I have, that's a problem with being a designer. You're used to designing custom things and you know in your mind what it is. You just can't necessarily find it, so you got to figure out how to make it. And
Right.
that's you know, same kind of thing. I've started making like the same kind of jewelry in my colors, but realizing, okay, wait, there's another level here to look at, where I do need to have a little bit of sheen. Um, there needs to be some luminosity or some sort of sparkle, although I've never been a blingy person. So finding that,
Yeah,
um,
even polished stones work really nicely for you.
yeah, I'm
Having
finding that
that little bit of reflective.
right, or a little of a bit of a facet to a natural stone is,
Mhm.
very interesting. And I tried to swing the other way, and I couldn't do. It's like I almost trying to overcompensate for that. So, it's really just been again just finding myself again. Just on another deeper level. I mean, the colors immediately were, you know, amazing. I just resonated with that right away. But then finding, sort of fine tuning it even more now as I go in. I doing my closet and my colors. I mean, was a huge. I just recently was looking at my closet, going, "This is so pretty." I there's like I don't have to worry about outfits so much um, because I can see it all when I open the closet. It's like it all blends together beautifully. And if I do end up with something that slightly came in a different color than I thought it was going to be, and I couldn't return it, and it's in my closet, it stands out like a sore thumb. It's like it
Mm,
doesn't play well with the others. And so it's
right.
immediately that, and every time I open the closet, it's like, oh, I really should get rid of that. It's not, it's
We all
pretty.
make mistakes in the early days,
Yeah,
and
it's
I think
pretty, but it's not quite
not exactly quite as
right.
beautiful as what everything else. And you once you see it,
Right.
you can't unsee it.
Exactly. Exactly. And like I said, every time I open the closet, there's that one dress
Yeah.
that yeah. But like I said, I can put it on and I can feel I feel and that's the thing, I know it's not my color. So it's like that's part of it too, is that it's not quite right. Or I had I was hanging on to things that I thought maybe in time would become my color. So they just don't. They don't become your
Wishful
color.
thinking. Yeah.
So
I
that's
think it's that there's a point at which you shift
mhm,
from, can I get away with this,
mhm.
to, do I want to get away with this?
Yes, that's exactly it. That's
And
exactly it.
that's a personal thing for each person. But there
Mhm,
comes that point where it's like you so love how you are in the colors that support you that you don't even want to cheat anymore. It's like, I'm just so happy in this camp that it's just not
mhm,
worth it to me.
mhm,
Yeah. So, and other times, we do play with colors for some reason or other that are just not on our palette, but maybe we want to dress up for the 4th of July or something like that, and we take a little splurge on, another
mhm,
seasonal side. But it's a
mhm.
choice, isn't it? It's dressing with intention. So you had some questions about specifically about hair color. That was what we wanted
Yes.
to
Yeah.
talk about today.
Right. So I just want to say too, your newsletters have been just so informative, and I it's the one email I actually look forward to opening. And you had done a newsletter on shoes. And again, before I had so much black in my wardrobe that my shoes were black. And every once in a while, I'd wear like something crazy, like, a pair of red shoes or something that stood out. And now, after seeing your newsletter, showing examples of shoes and everything, I realized that, that whole connection of circle, the eye, you were mentioning how your eye goes when you look at someone, you kind of read from the head down to their feet. And if their shoes relate to their hair color, or something back up top, your eye follows back up to the face. And seeing that, the examples that you had where somebody had red shoes on, the eye goes to the shoes and it never comes back. And that was just really powerful for me. My question was, having light colored hair, you can't always get away with wearing light color shoes. So that was my question, how to create that sort of connection still without always being in a light pair of shoes.
That's a great question. And it often comes to me from people who live in colder climates, especially who are like, oh, I can't wear my light, shoe color in the winter. But I'll start with a couple of things. So one of the easiest ways for people to figure out whether or not, a shoe works for their hair color, and if it's going to do the trick of bringing the eye back up to the hair, is just to simply look at the shoe up next to your hair before you buy it, and how close does it blend in. So you can see this one really picks up the white there in my shoe. And we always have a lot of different colors unless we've gotten a solid dye job. We have a lot of different colors in our hair. So you do have a little bit of range. So this would be kind of a mid color shoe. I think this one matches really pretty closely, but you can see it's a different color from this one. But they both will still do the same job. And then the question is, how much darker can you go? And I can go this little bit darker to a taupe. It's picking up on, underneath there's a darker color in my hair, and it will still draw the eye back up. Go any darker than that for me, it's not going to work. So if I don't want to wear a hair-related shoe color, then I have to figure out what am I going to be wearing on top before I decide what I want to wear on the bottom. And the reason I always recommend wearing your hair color in a shoe or a boot is because then you only have to buy one color, right? Your hair goes with you everywhere. Otherwise, you're looking at buying multiple pairs of shoes, which some people love to do. But there's lots of people who love having lots of different kinds of shoes, both styles and colors. So then you're thinking about, what do I wear on top most frequently? Um, so if you have, a jacket that you wear a lot, or a sweater, or a kimono, or a duster that you wear quite frequently, that's a good color to buy in shoes. Say it's one of your dark neutrals, then that gives you suddenly an option to wear a dark neutral shoe because you're wearing it on top. And it could either be as your, shirt in your column of color, or it could be your jacket or your overpiece, or it could even be you've got all this gorgeous jewelry, right? It could even match your jewelry. Now, if you want to further that, circle so that the eye just continuously goes around, you could add a handbag in the same color as the darker shoe, and then we've got midpoint, and then we're up to the jewelry at the top, or you could wear a hat in that color. Um, so any one of those are ways that you can bring that color to the top and match that color on the bottom. So if you want to go with a darker neutral, just make sure you have it somewhere up top so that it will still make that connection. So if you have a dark neutral and a light neutral on your palette, the dark neutral is a really good first choice, as long as you're purchasing other, things in your dark neutral. So in the winter, for example, not here in the desert, but
Hmm.
in four season climates. And, even here, I guess to some extent, when we're wearing jackets or coats and hats in the winter months, then you can buy your boot in that color to match. And it doesn't have to be a neutral. You could go with any other color on your palette, but more often people choose for their basics, their neutral colors. So that's a good way to make sure that that color connection happens in a darker neutral for those of us with light hair. Now, say you wanted to wear your related red. Well, if you've got it on your lip, maybe in some earrings and a necklace, or in your top, then you can wear it on your shoes. You can have that red pair of shoes, and then it's going to connect up to what's on top. Same with skin tone. If you want to wear your shoes in your skin tone, that's nice for elongating the leg in the summer, right? So a sandal in your skin tone is also going to kind of disappear and, bring up top. So that does that answer the question?
Yeah, that's very helpful. So, I mean, that was going to be my next question is like handbags and things, should it, that old sort of adage, should they match your shoes? Um, but I can see, again, especially from the newsletter, examples of that, that was really helpful too. So, and that was the thing, because I do see on the fan deck, which ones mention shoes, and I thought, is that, I guess that's not really a hard rule, but
Yeah, it's very personal because it's going to have a lot to do with how you've built your wardrobe out and what colors you
right.
prefer to wear. So we always recommend shoes for neutrals if you're going to be wearing your neutrals because they're going to be, kind of guaranteed.
Hmm.
Um, but if you are a more creative dresser or you're, more sporty and you're wearing multiple colors or you're, very classic and you want a very classic look, it's going to change how you're going to choose your shoe pairings with what you're wearing. I think with handbags, for example, if you're going to be wearing a solid outfit, then a shoe and a handbag that match with, your hair color, that's going to create this lovely color connection, right?
Hmm.
But look at your outfit today. You're like beautifully blended. So you could also choose a handbag that would blend in beautifully with your outfit. It's not going to stop our eye at the midpoint, right? Which is not where we want people looking at our, midpoint.
Right.
Most of us,
Right.
especially now, are not wanting to draw the eye there.
Right.
So it's going to be part of the outfit. It's going to blend into the outfit. So it doesn't need to have anything to do with the shoes if you're going to blend it in with your outfit. But whatever is on your feet needs to blend with what's on top. So or connect with what's on top. So
Hmm.
that's kind of, gives a lot of play. Like I think, someone like you could have very artistic, velvet beaded, handbags would be absolutely gorgeous.
Hmm.
But you also have that light hair, so you could wear, a raffia beach bag, you know, with sandals all in your hair color would be absolutely fantastic. So you have
Hmm.
options. So if you were going to go with a darker neutral, if you're wearing it on top and you have your handbag that matches and your shoe that matches, it's got this lovely continuity of color. But you
Hmm.
can also find other ways to make color connections on your body, right? So your jewelry and your handbag could be the thing that match, and your shoes matching your hair or matching your jacket. So as long as there's, and you probably know exactly how to do this because you're in interior design. It's like when you're setting up a room, you're choosing kind of your neutral base, and
Hmm.
it might be a color, but there's going to be a base color, right? And then
Hmm.
you're putting in your other pops of color, but you're picking them up in the pictures on the walls, in the
Hmm.
pillows, in the draperies. Like you're trying
Right.
to make all those color connections so that when the eye comes in, it goes all around the room and it doesn't kind of fixate
Right.
anything except the feature point, right, of the room. So
Hmm.
that might
Hmm.
be a feature window where you want everybody to look outside, or you might have a feature fireplace or, you know,
Hmm.
beautiful artwork that's the feature of the room. So I think of it that way is your face is the feature in the room of your body.
Right.
You always want the eye there. We want people to look at us, to see us, to
Hmm.
it's so much. so much easier for communication when someone is looking you in the eye instead of looking at your feet,
Right,
some
right,
part of your body, because they just,
right,
and they're not even conscious why their eye is being drawn there, but it's because you have drawn it there through a pop of color or some other means that has could be a too high of a contrast at a hemline or something like that that's just drawing the eye to that spot. So,
right.
yeah.
Right. And I think that was a good point. Like for what I have on, I don't think I would wear my hair color for a shoe, but I was thinking maybe that's where the metallics would come in. So wearing something in the, you know, am I right with that, or
So
is
you
that a
could
possibility?
absolutely, so with what you're wearing, you could absolutely wear your shoe color. What's going to be important, of course, is the fabric of that shoe, the sheen,
Hmm.
whether it's matte. So you've got a very soft, ethereal look going on. So if you're wearing your shoe in your hair color at this point, it's probably going to be like a nice crushed velvet or suede, or it's going to be a strappy
Hmm.
sandal, or it's going to be something that's going to blend in nicely. But you could also use the metallic that relates to your hair color. So some sort
Hmm.
of sparkly, warmer um, champagne, something like that. That would be
Hmm.
beautiful as well. Or if you're wearing a column of color, I don't know what you've got on the bottom,
Hmm. Hmm.
or
It would
even,
be a column.
yeah, a
I
column.
tend to like the column
Right.
for
So
me.
column of color is really a beautiful concept for most of us now. And if you're wearing that column of color, then you can match the shoe to the whole
With the
column. So
column.
then you've got
Okay.
this straight, unbroken line of color. It is relating back up to top. It's actually going to elongate your leg.
Hmm.
It's going to be absolutely beautiful.
Hmm.
Absolutely beautiful. So, and then you have the handbag that also all blends in, and oh my gosh. You look
Okay. Okay. That's my
phenomenal.
next my next focus.
Yeah, and I think as you're kind of, there was someone, a wonderful image consultant, in, Brenda, in the Bay Area that I used to follow years ago, and she would suggest people put together these color connections. So basically, as you're thinking about your colors and the outfits and what you love to wear, look for jewelry and a scarf and a handbag and a shoe and any other accessories you can think of in that color so
Mhm,
that you can put them all on and create this color connection just with the accessories.
mhm,
So say you were wearing your hair color as a solid color on you. I know you need more blended, but for someone else who was wearing like their neutral, any of their neutrals, they could use color in just by putting a scarf. Say we had a red scarf and now a red lip and red earrings and maybe a red bracelet and a red bag and a red shoe with a navy outfit. Oh, if that's in your color combination, my gosh, you've done it
mhm,
without having to wear that red on your body in a garment, you've been able to do it with accessories to create that beautiful color connection. So I think that's a great idea for people.
mhm. That's a great idea.
Yeah, to be able to build those color connections and color stories, right? And then it's kind
Right.
of again like what you do with interior design.
Mhm,
Supposing I tell you, I want this beach theme, but come Christmas,
mhm.
I want to be able to change it out and change it up and
Right.
make my room look much more Christmassy. What's going to be my color theme for Christmas? How are
Mhm,
you going to help me do that, right?
mhm,
You're going to
mhm,
be looking for the accessories. You're not going to be saying, "Okay, we're going to change out the couch. We're going to,
mhm. Right.
recover the arms." No, we're just going to take accessory pops and we're going
Mhm,
to bring in that color, but we're going to bring it in a way that it relates to what you already have.
mhm. That's interesting because I used to when I had someone that would come in and they just like, I want to redo my living room. It's like they would start looking at sofas and it's like, no, let's start with pillows. Let's figure out what pillows you like and then we can pick, the more basics to go with it to support it. But you're not going to get excited about a sofa color unless you're doing some sort of, a chintz or something like that. But yeah, you start with your kind of your accessories, and then what do you really want to draw attention to, and then let's back up the supporting cast, so to speak. So,
Right. Yeah.
so I like that idea with the accessories, kind of building a color story with that. Um, and then yeah, and then you just put it with your neutrals.
Hmm.
That sounds easier to shop for
It does. And
too.
when we're thinking about sustainability in
Mhm,
wardrobes and garments, it means that we're putting our money into those sort of core pieces
mhm,
that we're going to be able to wear again and again and again. But the trends can come in through accessories.
mhm,
The variety of color can come in through accessories, and that can really save you during those years when your colors aren't in store. Because at least if you
right.
have your neutrals, you can bring in the color through accessories. It's much easier to find those in shoes, in handbags, in jewelry, in
Mhm,
scarves. Much easier to find your wider variety of colors. And I think a lot of people overlook that, right? They
mhm,
overlook that um, because, and sometimes that's because they're not tapped into their style and they haven't really figured out, what is that look they're going for. So they don't know quite what accessories to buy either. And so that,
mhm,
honing in on your style, understanding what your style aesthetic is, really helps you to build out those color stories, whether they're going to be, soft and romantic, or they're going to be sporty, or they're going to be, classic. It's a lot to think about. But once you kind of start to hone that in, then it becomes easier to shop. And
mhm,
accessories can really be that thing that takes up levels your wardrobe into your full color wheel much faster than anything else.
mhm.
So,
And I think too utilizing like thrift shopping or eBay or whatever, you can find colors that aren't in season right now, but they were. So that's been fun. It's sort of something to do to hunt down your colors.
yeah. Yeah, and I have a whole course called Exploring Your Color Palette. I know you've taken it, and
Mhm.
we go into a lot of these things about, what's this color on your palette? How was it chosen for you? How do you wear it? How do you pair it? How do you shop for it? Which really gets us past that, just buying anything in our colors and actually being
Right.
intentional about how we're using our color in our wardrobe. And I think whether you've had your colors done by me or by anybody else, that can be really helpful to take you to the next level. And then exploring your seasonal style. If you don't really know what that is, we have a course for that. And we even have a course for how to thrift online for your colors. So
Mhm.
lots of resources for you folks, and I'll put those links
Yes.
in below. Well, it has been really wonderful talking with you today, Jodi. I thank you so much for coming on with your questions.
Sure.
I hope I've answered them, given you some fresh inspiration. And,
Yes,
uh,
definitely. Always.
and if you've enjoyed this segment, I hope you'll share your comments below. Thanks so much for joining us, and bye for now.
Bye.